Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Breaking news, or it's breaking news for me right now on Friday afternoon. You're seeing this on Monday, so it's old news for you. It may even turn out to be irrelevant news by Monday because the three major networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, just a few minutes ago called Georgia for Joe Biden, even though, this is interesting, Georgia just started a hand recount of 5 million ballots. So I guess they're fortune tellers, these people at the major networks, and they've already projected that the hand count is not going to change anything and that Biden has won. They may very well turn out to be right. I would love to see them wrong, just to see the egg on their faces, never mind the effect on the election, just to see them embarrassed again after calling a gain of seats in the House for the Democrats, so on and so forth. Just one more thing before we get to today's subject. I was talking yesterday about people who voted for Biden. What did they think they were voting for? I think they thought that they were voting for peace and love and everybody no longer arguing because it was all Donald Trump's fault. I showed you some mass demonstrations yesterday. Well, I showed you Antifa thugs and Black Lives Matter thugs demonstrating as usual once again in Portland, Oregon, and now they've been going into residential neighborhoods and harassing residents as they were before. Nothing has changed. But something that will change is, look at this headline. Biden tells Jesuit group he'll raise refugee ceiling to 125,000 annually. So we're going to have more immigrants now, and we're not talking about immigrants who are fluent in English, have university degrees, perhaps jobs waiting for them. No, we are talking about, well, there may be some in there, I want to be fair, but that's what happened. You voted for Biden, and now you're getting it. As I said yesterday, quoting H.L. Mencken, that you're getting it good and hard. And there's more to come, at least what Biden can do through executive orders. Let's hope that those two runoffs in Georgia go well enough. Otherwise, you're going to have liberal judges again, and if there's a vacancy on the Supreme Court, if God forbid it's full disclosure, I'm a conservative, so that's the angle I come from. Take that into consideration when you listen to me. But God forbid a Republican dies or retires from the Supreme Court, and then Joe Biden gets to appoint a liberal justice, and you can be sure it will be a liberal justice. Now on to today's subject, and this is important. This is something I've been meaning to talk about for a while, for at least a week, probably more, and then this election stuff was happening, and I've been talking about the election. This kind of has something to do with the election, but it's bigger than that. It's the Middle East. It's nuclear-armed Iran. It's this headline, former U.S. security chief, Israel may strike Iran before Biden takes office, which will be in the next couple of months if he is the president-to-be. President Donald Trump's former head of national security said that in the absence of any moves to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, Israel could possibly step in to take military action against the Islamic Republic, Fox News reported Thursday. Former National Security Advisor General H.R. McMaster said Iran was continuing to enrich uranium, quote, and also continuing its 4-decade-long proxy war against us and Israel and the Arab monarchies and the world, unquote. Interviewed on the Fox show Special Edition, McMaster noted that Israel has a clear policy of defending itself against nations like Iran that are committed to its destruction. Quote, and pay attention to this, Israel follows the Begin Doctrine, which means that they will not accept a hostile state to having the most destructive weapons on earth, unquote, McMaster said, referring to the late Israeli leader Menachem Menachem Begin, who ordered an airstrike in 1981 to destroy the Iraq nuclear reactor being built by dictator Saddam Hussein. And of course, under Netanyahu, the Israelis destroyed in its early stages a reactor that was being built in Syria. The Israelis are serious. They're facing an existential threat. They're not going to just stand there and let themselves be wiped out or let themselves be threatened with a nuclear weapon. Anyways, getting back to the article in McMaster's, quote, I think that it's a possibility that Israel might take action, unquote, McMaster said. Quote, we're back to the kind of 2006 period when we knew that Iran was pursuing this threshold nuclear weapons capability. Tensions were higher, and the IDF, that's the Israeli Defense Forces, was about to act at that point, unquote. He also warned the Biden administration against reopening the 2015 Iran nuclear deal that Trump pulled out of in 2018. Quote, it would be a really big mistake to turn the clock back to 2016 and resurrect the nuclear deal, unquote, McMaster emphasized. Quote, the Iran nuclear deal was a political disaster masquerading as a diplomatic triumph, unquote. And that's the crux of this whole matter, that Biden might re-enter that deal, even though it expires now in, 4 or 5 years. It makes no sense. But the main point that McMaster is making, the main point of what he said, is that if Biden becomes president and resurrects that deal, he's pulling Iran out of the fire, or pulling their chestnuts out of the fire, because it means money to Iran. That's ultimately what it means. I mean, it means trade, but that translates into money. Iran will have money to keep the regime going, number one, but number two, and most important, they'll just continue developing a nuclear weapon. As McMaster and others have said, they never stopped. And the Israelis, the Begin Doctrine, they've already destroyed 2 nuclear reactors. The Iranian reactors and their centrifuges, that's the main equipment that they have to worry about, is underground. So you're talking about a lot of destruction. And, well, let me just give you this one more headline here, because this is relevant too. Are Israel and the U.S. planning to attack Iran? So maybe we're going to get in on the fun too, and we'll be attacking Iran together, which is something I personally think we should have done a long time ago. But that's just me, and I guess call me a warmonger if you want. But they should have done it because they are very likely to have to do it anyhow, and they could have done it before. So that's what they're wondering about. It's like being at the plate with 3 balls and 2 strikes, and you have that one pitch coming, and you have to decide, do I swing? Do I swing and maybe miss? Do I swing and hopefully hit? Or is it a ball and I don't have to do anything, and you have that split second as a ball is coming towards you to make that decision? That's where I think the Israelis, and we are, but definitely where Israel is, they have to kind of guess what Biden is likely to do and whether they want to take a chance. And if they have to act, they have to do it quickly. Which brings me to the last headline, and this is the most important point. Congress takes first steps to provide bunker buster bombs to Israel. This is from, as I said, I've been meaning to get to this for a while. This article is from October 28th. It was written, obviously, before the election. But, well, let me give you a little bit of the article here, and then I'll give you my comment. 2 congressmen said Tuesday, which is going back a few weeks, does not mean this past Tuesday. 2 congressmen said Tuesday they will submit a bipartisan bill that would provide a legal basis for the U.S. to supply Israel with advanced bunker-busting bombs that the Americans have previously refused to supply. Democratic Representative Josh Gottheimer from New Jersey and Republican Brian Malley mast of Florida want Israel to have the 15-ton massive ordnance penetrator bomb in its arsenal to use defensively against Iran if the Ayatollahs there are found to be resuming work to obtain nuclear weapons. Gottheimer said in a statement that the two are co-sponsoring the, quote, U.S.-Israel Common Defense Authorization Act, unquote, to strengthen Israel's qualitative military edge, QME, in the region and secure both the U.S. and Israel from the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. The massive bomb is capable of penetrating to a depth of 60 meters, 200 feet, the equivalent to reaching the bottom of an 18-story underground building before detonating. It would be theoretically used to destroy Iranian underground nuclear facilities. If Israel does receive the latest bunker buster, it will have to solve the problem of how to transport the 30,000-pound bomb. They don't have a plane that is strong enough right now. They have the C-130 transport plane, which apparently is not strong enough to carry a 30,000-pound bomb, but that's a bridge they can cross when they come to it. The main point, the one I want to make, is that this bill, remember that this article is from the 28th of October, so this bill was submitted a while ago. Has it been passed? If not, it has to be passed. And Donald Trump, if he has to do anything, well, bottom line, get those bunker busters to Israel as soon as possible, because you can bet your bottom dollar, I could be wrong on this, I would love to be wrong on this, so we'll just say that the chances are very high that if Biden becomes president and those bunker busters have not been delivered to Israel, and especially if Biden tries to resurrect the nuclear deal with Iran, Israel is not going to get those bunker busters as long as Joe Biden is president. And without the bunker busters, it's going to be more difficult for the Israelis to take out those Iranian nuclear facilities that threaten not just Israel, but us, not to mention Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the Emirates, Dubai. Everybody in that area is threatened by a nuclear weapon if the Iranians get one. And more important, or just as important, they're threatened by Iran. If they find themselves one day, or we find ourselves with an Iran that is under a nuclear umbrella, that just changes everything in the Middle East. We cannot let that happen, and we cannot prevent the Israelis from preventing it from happening, because knowing Joe Biden and knowing our liberal democratic friends, they will hesitate even when it's obvious that something has to be done, even when it's obvious that we have to attack. There are odds that they won't do that. They will wait too long. The Israelis, however, are a different story. So again, we have to get the bunker busters to Israel, and anything else, such as a plane that would carry the darn thing, have to give the Israelis everything they need to take out Iran's nuclear program without needing anything from us, because they may not get it if Joe Biden is president. And I hope I would get, though, a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. If you got comments, you can put them in the comments section below the video with questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting subscribers. You could also visit my music channel, where I put my original songs under the name Gene Allan, so it doesn't get confused with this channel. And you could also understand how much I appreciate you all spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you all come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.